The U.S. is about to kick off a very busy 2021 in terms of international soccer. So I think it's time we take a closer look into the guy leading us into this busy year in charge of our national team soccer. And that, of course, is Gregg Berhalter. Is he the right guy for the team? Or are we just being too critical of him and we need to give him more time? In this video, we're going to break it down and talk about it. So let's get to it. What's up, guys? I'm Drew. Welcome back to the channel. If you're watching this and you're not subscribed, first of all, that's rude. Second of all, subscribe immediately, and while you're down there, check out the Instagram and Twitter links down below and follow those as well, because it doesn't hurt you to follow it, it just hurts me when you don't follow it. Think about it. The way I want to break down this video really is just split it into the bad and the good. So I'm going to start off with the bad first, and then believe it or not, there is some good there to talk about Gregg Berhalter. Like I said, it's a closer look at his managerial career as a whole with the USMNT, whether or not he's going to be a right fit for us going into two World Cups, 2022 next year, hopefully, and also hopefully the 2026 World Cup as well. That's a World Cup that really most of us are banking on doing well in, or maybe even winning it. And I'm in that pool as well. So let's see if Gregg Berhalter is the right guy to lead us there. So what I want to start off at, obviously, is the beginning of time for Gregg Berhalter as a USMNT manager. All the way back in 2018, it was announced that Gregg Berhalter was leaving Columbus Crew to coach the USMNT. And that was met with a lot of criticism. Why, Drew? Well, first of all, subscribe. Second of all, because he was another MLS coach that a lot of people, including myself back then, and even today, did not want to see take charge of the USMNT. Especially that this was a USMNT team that really just came off, being eliminated from the World Cup. I know bad thoughts for you guys, me too, but that's what happened, and we wanted to see someone take charge of this team, and just like we could have someone we can have faith in. And looking at Gregg Berhalter's resume back then, I was not impressed either. I know he had coached some team, I think in Sweden or something like that. He didn't do that good there either. Columbus Crew he did okay with, but the big thing was he didn't win a single major trophy with Columbus Crew. Like, I was not impressed by him at all. I was not impressed by any MLS manager back then at all either. So not just him, there's just, even like successful ones, I was just like, I want someone different outside of MLS, okay? But nonetheless, we were stuck with Gregg Berhalter, and we had to wait all the way to 2018, which was just a month away after being appointed manager, to see what he could bring to the USMNT fan base and nation to the table. What he could bring, what he could offer, and if he could really live up or like beat against this criticism he was facing, like almost immediately after becoming manager. And well, 2019 came along, and it really was terrible, right? It was terrible. I mean, let me bring up the screen here for you guys. You guys can see it here. This was our chunk of the games we had here in 2019. He opened up his managerial career with the USMNT with a 3-0 win over Panama, followed by a 2-0 win after Costa Rica. So you were like, all right, he's doing good. We have some good players. We have Christian Pulisic, we have Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie back then. We still had Brad Guzan playing. We still had players like, Altidore and Yazi Zara's really our main starters there. So that's whatever. Okay, nothing really changed there. But for the most part, I felt okay. I felt okay there. But if you look further down the line in 2019, you can see there that there's a big drop off. We had a lot of friendly games. We had Gold Cup games and Nations League games. And I think the games that really mattered, the games that we were really tested against a really kind of even opponent for us, are the games that we didn't win. For example, let's go back to March 26, 2019, as you see here with Chile. I think Chile is a pretty decent CONMEBOL team. Obviously, another team who missed out on the 2018 World Cup like us. But nonetheless, I think they're a pretty challenging team. Obviously, not their main starters or their A team was there, but we didn't win that game either. We had a narrow draw with them as well. Then up against Venezuela, who I think really is not the strongest team in CONMEBOL. But nonetheless, we lost that 3-0. And that was a shock for me. I picked the USMNT to at least draw that game back then, but that was an embarrassing defeat. And then we had the Gold Cup, where I think we did great. We were 4-0 wins, 6-0 win over Trinidad and Tobago. Every time we play Trinidad, I feel like we're just gonna freaking destroy them because we all have bad PTSD from that game all the way back in 2017. And then the whole Gold Cup was an easy route for us, as it should be, every year. Up to the final, we get here to Mexico, coached by none other than Tata Martino, who is a guy who was in the running to become the U17 manager, but obviously the language barrier kind of made us fall off his list. So we lose 1-0, disappointed, outplayed, outcoached, outmanaged, whatever. And then we had a chance to redeem ourselves afterwards, a couple months later, to see, you know what, we lost that final against you. Let's try to beat you again. We lose back-to-back games against Mexico. We lose worse this time. A 3-0 win, like a 3-0 defeat. That was it for me. I was like, dude, are you freaking kidding me? And then, of course, we see Uruguay here, a 1-1 win, a 1-1 draw, which, whatever, who cares about that game? Then Canada, another team that we played against. I think this was the first time Canada defeated us in some kind of game or something like that. They were like, oh, hype about it, having titty attacks, having a good time. And then a couple of weeks later, we defeated them terribly, 4-1. So that made me feel happy. But, yeah, so the big chunk that I see here in 2019 really is that another bad thing besides that year was Berhalter has really not been yet tested against world beater teams, like world domination teams, like teams like Germany, France, Belgium, Spain. Like, we have not seen these kind of teams come up against us under Gregg Berhalter. You know, we've played these teams before back in the day, obviously, but not under the Gregg Berhalter we see today in our national team, and not under the players we have in our pool right now. I would love to see us play against some bigger teams like that one day. Obviously, with COVID, it kind of ruined the whole setup and system here, but whatever. So that brings me to my next point. Obviously, in 2020, we had barely any games to play, but the games we did play at the end of the year, they were easy wins, but against teams that we should be defeating anyway. Again, not being able to play against any big teams is really hurting us and really hurting the way we think we're playing. Like this most recent game against Trinidad and Tobago a couple weeks ago, we defeated them 7-0 or something like that. But that was a team that was, with all due respect, it was garbage. They were this last minute. They didn't have all their real players. It was not a really good fit team. Their team was trash. And we defeated them. We thought we were like this hot shit. He's like, oh, these guys are playing so good, but they really weren't. We really need to see our players that we're hyping up come up against better opponent, better opposition. It kills me that we can't play against teams like in the top 5 of the FIFA rankings. You know, that kills me. Well, that's really all the bad I see for Gregg Berhalter as a coach for the USMNT. Obviously, his tactics are always questionable in some games. Obviously, the way he calls up people, the players he calls up sometimes are also kind of questionable as well. I've seen you guys always comment when I do roster reactions that there's some players who shouldn't be there. You know, his Columbus Crew love, his favoritism there as well is always questionable. But that's it. So I really want to now get into the good stuff that I see with Gregg Berhalter and the good stuff that he's done so far and the good stuff that I think he could possibly do going forward down the line. So if you haven't disliked the video yet, just wait to the end because that watch time down. So let's get to the good stuff with Gregg Berhalter. The first real good thing, really, is obviously the dual nationals. That is probably the biggest thing he's done for the USMNT. We've got players like Serginho Dest, possibly Yunus Musa, some Mexican players like Julian Arau, Efrain Alvarez, just to name a few. And I feel like I don't know what he does, if he has some kind of mind control powers that he's persuading these guys yo, we're a world beater team, or we're gonna be. You guys should be part of that. And they're like, all right, yeah, I want to play for USMNT. And that helps us anyway. So props to Gregg Berhalter. I think that is one of the best things any USMNT manager has ever done. And I live for it. A lot of people, especially outside of the USA, are really critical of your USMNT recruiting all these players who would set foot in Jersey one day and now they're eligible. Dude, I don't care. You know why I don't care? You know why I don't care about that? Is first of all, because the USA as a country, a regular country, is the melting pot of the world. Everybody fucking comes here anyway. Everybody wants to have kids. Everybody wants to be here, right? This is the land of opportunity. Well, the melting pot. So the national team is obviously also the melting pot. That just represents our nation even better and more accurately. Correct? Correct. Now hear me out. I think the really big defense I have for Gregg Berhalter is he's only really had 1 year as a manager of the USMNT. I know he was appointed in 2018, but like I said, it was December 2nd, 2018. We didn't play a single game that month, and that was the end of the year. So 2019 was really his only full year as head coach of the USMNT. 2020 was null and void because the whole pandemic happened and we couldn't play any games, so that sucked. 2021 is really his second year in charge, basically, to see what he could offer us. And obviously this year is one of the most important years for us. We have a lot of games coming up. We have World Cup qualifiers. We have Nations League. We have Olympic stuff. Like, we have a lot of games to play. And now he's going to be tested. Our team is going to be tested as well. How they're going to do, good or bad. And I have one big point here. So, Gregg Berhalter, if you're watching, first of all, check your DMs. Second of all, if you can't win a Gold Cup, then you can't win a World Cup. Okay? And I'll write down the shirt. I'll market it here on the channel. You guys can buy it because I will do it. If you can't win a Gold Cup, you can't win a World Cup. Because it's true. It's true. If you can't beat Mexico in the Gold Cup final, then you can't defeat Spain in the World Cup final, guy. Like, come on. So I think if Gregg Berhalter does not win the Gold Cup, if he does not do well in the World Cup qualifiers, I don't give a fuck about Nations League, by the way, guys. I really don't care. If he does not do well in those two tournaments, then for me, I want him out. I'm on the Gregg Berhalter out train. Right now, I'm giving him a chance again. But for right now, if he doesn't win those games, those tournaments, he's out for me. Okay? And for people who say, well, Drew, why would you want a manager out of your nation right before World Cup? Dude, I don't care. Because 2022 is a World Cup that I don't expect to really win, but I expect for our players to get some experience in. And it doesn't matter who's coaching us, as long as our players make it to the World Cup and get World Cup experience. So that way for 2026, we're ready and set to go to compete and win that shit. Okay? I mean, that's all I really have for you guys today. I want to know your thoughts. Do you guys think I'm crazy for trying to trust Gregg Berhalter for one more full year? Let me know down below. And let me know your thoughts on Gregg Berhalter in general. And while you're down there, like I said, follow the Instagram, follow Twitter. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll try to be back again soon. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.